What happens when charm turns condescending and composure becomes the last line of defense? On the Tamron Hall show, what began as a polished conversation about philanthropy spiraled into a televised duel between grace and ego. Meghan Markle walked in expecting admiration and walked out facing something far more dangerous: accountability. The studio shimmered in soft gold and blue, light glancing off sleek cameras gliding silently across the room. The air buzzed with anticipation as Meghan took her seat opposite Tamron Hall, who radiated her usual calm elegance. It was supposed to be another thoughtful morning interview. It became something else entirely. "Meghan, thank you for joining us," Tamron began with her trademark warmth. "It's been quite a year for you, from new projects to new headlines. Before we dive in, how are you and Harry doing?" A simple, friendly opener. But Meghan's smile tightened. "We're thriving, Tamron," she replied smoothly. "I just find it exhausting how people feel entitled to dissect my personal life. Maybe if they focused on their own relationships, they'd be happier." A few uneasy laughs rippled through the audience. Tamron didn't flinch. "I understand," she said evenly. "Though some might say that by sharing so much publicly, curiosity is a natural result." "I don't see it as sharing," Meghan replied, leaning back. "I see it as correcting lies. We've been attacked unfairly. We're just defending ourselves. Anyone in our position would do the same." Polite applause followed, careful and subdued. Tamron's gaze didn't waver. The conversation about the royal family never seems to end. "Why do you think that is?" "Because people can't let go," Meghan said, a smirk curling her lips. "Especially the media. They're obsessed. Harry and I have moved on, but it seems everyone else hasn't." Tamron's fingers tapped softly against her cue cards. "You mean the press or the public?" "Both," Meghan shot back. "Let's be honest, people love to hate. They'd rather project their frustrations onto others than admit the world needs change. And I represent that change." The audience murmured, half in support, half uncomfortable. Tamron smiled gently. "You've spoken about modernizing institutions. Do you believe the monarchy failed to modernize?" "Completely," Meghan said without hesitation. "It's a system built on outdated ideals. I tried to bring progress, compassion, diversity, but they weren't ready. The problem wasn't me. It was them." A hush fell. The air crackled. Tamron's voice stayed calm. "That's a strong statement." "It's an honest one," Meghan replied. "People don't like honesty. They prefer fairy tales, but I don't play along." Tamron nodded, thoughtful. "You had a successful acting career before royalty. Do you ever miss it?" Meghan laughed softly, but there was an edge to it. "Acting? No, I've outgrown that. I'm doing work that actually matters now. It's fulfilling to do something real." Her tone lingered just long enough for the implication to land. Acting wasn't real, and neither were those who still did it. Tamron's tone stayed smooth. "I imagine many of your fans might feel differently. Do you think that earlier visibility helped shape your platform today?" "Not at all," Meghan replied sharply. "My platform is built on who I am, not on some TV show from years ago. That's irrelevant now." The tension in the room thickened. Tamron leaned forward slightly. "Well, our viewers might have their own thoughts on that." Applause trickled through the crowd, hesitant, uneasy. Meghan's eyes flickered with irritation masked by a smile. Tamron shifted gears. "Your relationship with the late Queen was often described as cordial. How would you characterize it now?" Meghan hesitated for a fraction of a second. "I respected her," she said finally. "But respect only goes so far when the institution refuses to do the right thing. People like to pretend our relationship was special, but she could have done more." "She didn't." Gasps swept the audience. Even in America, that was a bold statement. "Some might say that's a harsh view," Tamron said softly. "With all due respect, Tamron, you weren't there," Meghan snapped. "It's easy to speculate from the outside." Tamron's lips pressed together. "I understand, but you've shared your version publicly many times. When someone shares their story, it becomes part of a larger conversation." Meghan scoffed. "Ah, the conversation. That's the media's favorite excuse. Maybe it's time. Journalists stop pretending they're analysts and start listening instead." The air grew heavy. Tamron gave a small, knowing smile. "Well," she said calmly, "that's certainly one perspective." The cameras caught everything. Meghan's smirk, Tamron's poise, the invisible wall rising between them. After the first commercial break, the mood had changed completely. The polite hum of anticipation was gone, replaced by quiet tension. Tamron resumed, composed. Meghan, you've often described your journey as one of self-liberation, breaking free from a system that constrained you. Yet many would say you continue to engage deeply with that same system through your podcast, documentary, and book. Why revisit what you've left behind? Because people keep asking about it, Meghan said coolly. I can't control the obsession. Maybe it says more about the public than it does about me. But you do have control over what stories you tell, Tamron said gently. I think it's fascinating how journalists love to frame it that way, Meghan replied, her voice sharpening. I'm just reclaiming a narrative that was stolen from me. Maybe the media should stop pretending to be gatekeepers of truth. Gasps rippled through the audience. Tamron's smile stayed fixed. Gatekeepers? Perhaps not. But we are questioners. It's part of the job. No, Tamron, Meghan said, leaning forward. What journalists do isn't questioning. It's dissecting, twisting words for headlines. I've been vilified by people like you. The audience stirred uncomfortably. I'm sorry you feel that way, Tamron said softly. But I'd like to think this is about clarity, not vilification. Clarity or control? Meghan sneered. Let's not pretend this isn't about entertainment. You asked me here for ratings and act surprised when I refuse to play nice. The crowd gasped. Tamron's tone stayed measured. I invited you here because you have a message to share. But how it's received, that's part of your responsibility. Meghan crossed her legs sharply. I don't need lectures on responsibility. From someone who profits off controversy. I'm here to talk about my foundation, not to be psychoanalyzed. Tamron smiled faintly. And yet here we are, the audience murmured. Excuse me? Meghan said, her voice tight. Here we are, Tamron repeated calmly. Two women having an honest conversation. Isn't that what you said you wanted? Honest conversation, Meghan said with a bitter laugh. I'm used to real journalists, not people who disguise judgment as curiosity. Tamron's smile dimmed slightly. You seem to think accountability is judgment. But there's a difference. Call it what you like, Meghan said coldly. I've dealt with enough accountability to last a lifetime from people who've never been under a microscope. True, Tamron replied. But the microscope doesn't invent what it magnifies. The line hit like thunder. The audience gasped, then applauded. Meghan froze, her smile faltering. Well, she said tightly, I see we're going for sound bites now. Good for you, Tamron. No sound bites, Tamron said. Just perspective. You're good at playing the composed journalist, Meghan said. But let's not pretend you're not enjoying this. Tamron's tone softened. Enjoying this? No, but I believe in balance, asking what viewers deserve to know. And who decides that? Meghan shot back. You? The same people who mock me for living authentically? Authenticity doesn't need defending, Tamron said. But when authenticity becomes performance, people start to wonder which parts are real. You don't get to question my authenticity, Meghan snapped. You don't know me. I know your words, Tamron said evenly. The ones you've chosen to share. Applause again, softer, sharper this time. You're twisting everything I say, Meghan accused. Typical. I come here to talk about something meaningful, and you turn it into tabloid theater. You've faced criticism before, Tamron said quietly. You said it made you stronger. I'm giving you a chance to demonstrate that strength. The silence that followed was electric. Meghan forced a smile. I think we both know strength looks different on me, Tamron. But not everyone can handle that. You might be right, Tamron replied. Not everyone can handle it. But sometimes, Meghan, it's not strength people struggle with, it's arrogance. The crowd gasped. Meghan blinked, stunned. Before she could respond, Tamron turned smoothly to the camera. We'll be right back after the break. When they returned, the tension was thick enough to touch. Meghan's posture was stiff, her smile mechanical. Tamron sat calm, centered. Welcome back, Tamron said smoothly. We're here with Meghan Markle discussing her journey, her work and her truth. My truth, Meghan repeated with a faint smirk. Yes, Tamron, because for years, others told their version of my life. It's time people listen to me. Tamron nodded. Many have, through your interviews, book, and documentary. But some viewers wonder if you've told your truth so many times. Why do you still feel unheard? I don't feel unheard, Meghan said flatly. I feel misrepresented. That's not my fault. That's the media's obsession with distorting strong women. But don't you think repetition starts to sound like justification? Tamron asked gently. Excuse me? Meghan said sharply. You've spoken about moving forward, Tamron continued. Yet much of your public narrative circles back to the same pain, the same institutions. Some wonder if that's really moving forward. Meghan laughed tightly. People are uncomfortable with women who own their trauma. It's easier to say move on than to admit society failed you. Perhaps, Tamron said. Or perhaps people just want to see what healing looks like. Silence. Then Meghan tilted her head. Tamron, I get that you're trying to be insightful, but you don't know what it's like to be hunted, dissected, turned into a spectacle. Tamron's stillness deepened. I might understand more than you think, she said quietly. Being a black woman in media comes with its own scrutiny. For a moment, Meghan blinked, caught off guard, then smirked. Well, that's true for some, but let's be honest. You chose this. I didn't choose what happened to me. Tamron's jaw tightened slightly, though her tone stayed smooth. No one chooses cruelty, but how we respond to it, that's a choice. The audience applauded softly. Meghan didn't. See, Meghan said. This is what happens. I sit down for a thoughtful conversation, and it turns into an interrogation. Smiling doesn't make it kind. Meghan, Tamron said steadily, my goal isn't to interrogate. It's to understand. But you keep turning every question into a confrontation. Because that's what it is, Meghan snapped. You pretend to be objective, but you're just like the tabloids. At least they're honest about being invasive. Tamron inhaled deeply. I've interviewed presidents, activists, survivors. I ask hard questions because that's what the audience deserves. It's not an attack, it's accountability. Accountability, Meghan repeated mockingly. That word again. It's just code for let's tear her down politely. If being asked questions tears someone down, Tamron replied softly, maybe the foundation wasn't that strong to begin with. Applause erupted. Meghan's composure wavered. I can't believe how disrespectful this is, Meghan said. I came here for a meaningful discussion and you've turned it into a spectacle. I didn't turn it into anything, Tamron said quietly. You did? You think you can humiliate me on national television? Meghan snapped. Do you know who I am? Tamron's gaze didn't shift. I do, she said. You're someone who says she wants to be treated like everyone else, but can't handle being questioned, like everyone else. The room froze. The audience gasped audibly. You're twisting my words, Meghan hissed. I'm reflecting them, Tamron replied. Meghan leaned back, her smile brittle. I expected better from you. I thought you'd be more understanding. I guess success changes people. Some rise above it. Others hide behind cue cards. Tamron set her cards down slowly. Success doesn't change people, she said softly. It reveals them. A wave of murmurs rolled through the audience. Tamron folded her hands. Let's take another short break, she said. Her tone was calm, but icy. As the cameras panned out, the two women sat in silence. Meghan's smirk was back. Tamron's eyes were steady, unreadable. Because everyone in that studio and everyone watching at home knew the truth. When they came back from break, one of them wasn't walking out with their reputation intact.